So, what is the African Continental Free Trade Area? The most straightforward answer to this question is that the African Continental Free Trade Area is a new established and integrating African market supported by a comprehensive legal framework and offering attractive investment and trade opportunities. Of course, that tends to be rather abstract, so there's need to give some substance to that answer. And I can begin by saying that the vision of the African Continental Free Trade Area is to create a single integrated African market. And when we have done that, basically it means that all the 55 member states of the African Union are state parties to the agreement establishing this institution. And by being state parties, it means two things. They've signed the agreement and they've deposited the instrument of ratification. And then the process of integration goes further. Signing and ratifying are not enough. You need to embark on a process of harmonizing domestic laws, domestic regulations, so that you have a truly seamless arrangement where if one good or service moves from South Africa to Togo, for example, along the way, it is not going to be subjected to new standards of examination to say it cannot pass through our national territory because it has not met these standards. We are going to have a uniform standards. And why do we need an integrated market? Last night I told you that when you look at Africa, it's a continent of fragmented states. I don't know if some of you tried to look at the map of Africa, from Mauritius to Cape Verde. How many countries are you expected to cross? About 7 of them. And again, if you want to move from Cape Town to Cairo, how many countries are you expected to cross? About 12 countries. And if you are moving from the east coast of the United States of America to the west coast, New York to Los Angeles, is still one country. And again, if you're moving from the southern tip of Brazil to the northern tip, Salvador, this is still one country, but the distances are almost similar. So that is the state of Africa. A lot of small countries, and by history, not connected. They're isolated. And they're not competitive in the global arena. And because they are small markets, they cannot attract large-scale investments. And the cycle of poverty continues as a result. And that's why we decided to create one integrated market. And when we have done that, we're going to resolve a number of immediate challenges that Africa faces. I indicated that because of small market, we cannot attract investments. And the poverty gets entrenched. And because of the small market, we've made attempts at industrialization, at economic diversification. It has not gone very, very far. And because of small markets, we have not been very, very competitive. So when we create this market, the population immediately becomes aggregated. Right now, the aggregate population of Africa is 1.2 billion people. And in 11 years, 2030, is going to be 1.7 billion people. And in this demography, Africa is the youngest continent in the world. And with this large market now, which is integrated, you remove the excuse that we cannot invest because of a small market. You remove the excuse that we cannot produce in one African country and export to the rest of Africa because of differing rules and regulations. All those are done away under the African Continental Free Trade Area. And as a result of that, new opportunities emerge. And I'll just talk about 5 of them so that you do not go to sleep. And I do not go through a 45-minute page presentation. With a large market and large-scale investments and long-term nature, it means that the prospects for higher rates of economic growth in Africa are going to emerge. And when there are these prospects, then business can also be encouraged to innovate. And because we expect innovation to be part of the African economic landscape, so these are some of the opportunities that are emerging. And of course, with this impressive picture, and I'm sure some of you are from the financing world, you should be thinking that, is it possible to come up with an African Continental Free Trade Area bond which can be used to finance startups and SMEs? So that's an added opportunity that is coming up. And of course, when you've got a large market, the other opportunity that emerges is that it will now be possible to come up with very viable and long-term projects of economic diversification and transformation. Indicated that Africa has been isolated historically, and that is very, very true. If you look at the rail networks around Africa, they were designed in such a way that they would take produce to the metropole. If the colonies were British colonies, they were designed to take raw materials to London. If the colonies were French colonies, they were designed to take raw materials to France. And there was no connection among them. Now, with the creation of this market, we're going to really encourage the evolution of the development of interconnectivities among the African countries. And already we've got a group of African investors who call themselves the Afro champions. They came to us and said, we want to work with you. And we entered into a memorandum of understanding. And one of their immediate areas of focus was how to promote linkages in transport and communications among African countries. And they've come up with a financing framework which is going to ensure that within 10 years from 2019, the annual infrastructure gap in financing, the annual gap in financing infrastructure across Africa, which is around about $70 billion US, is going to be overcome within 10 years. So this is the opportunity that has emerged, and the Afro champions are coming up to take up that.